What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is season 5, episode 4. I was actually surprised by Brittany. Okay, I wasn't expecting the rebuttal she gave to Bronwyn, but I was slightly impressed. But let's get into it. Y'all know sometimes before we get into it, we get a little spicy over here, over here. I don't know why I'm doing that, but hey, y'all know the drill. So first, let's talk about these interviews. So Bryce Sanders did an interview with Mary. I saw some of the clips. Some of the stuff was interesting. Some of the stuff wasn't. What was interesting to me was that she got into it with Meredith. So we're going to be seeing Meredith and her get into it. He asked her like, so, hey girl, why did that happen? And he said Mary said there was something simmering between them. And I said, what was simmering between y'all? Because girl, what? Also, Mary lets us know that her son is doing way better. Recently, there was articles released about her son being sent to an inpatient rehab treatment center. He tested positive for fentanyl, marijuana, and the powder. Okay. And they also talked about him missing a court hearing back in August, on August the 15th, for a DUI charge that he caught back in March the 22nd. Mind you, her son is only 21 years old. He need to get it together. He needs to get it like, okay, you're 21. You still got a lot. You have so much time to like turn your life around. And I hope he turns his life around, because to have all of that in your system, that is a lot. And the one that scares me the most is the fentanyl, because that is really what is harming people. And people are, they leaving the earth off of doing one hit of that. So hopefully he is all right now. Bryce has also done interviews with Bronwyn, Heather, and Lisa. He didn't do any with Meredith or Whitney. And I know he said he didn't do it with Meredith because she wasn't in town, but I'm wondering if you didn't know, Whitney's daughter, unfortunately, was in the ICU for an asthma related situation. And as someone who has asthma, I've had asthma attacks. It's not fun, but I'm wondering if all of this happened while Bryce was there, so she was unable to do an interview because she was so dedicated to her child. So be on the lookout for those interviews. So next, let's talk about Jen Shah. So it was reported by Page 6 that they have shortened Jen Shah's sentence by 8 months, and the girls were going crazy. So this is coming from Jay's reality blog, but they said this. Page 6 reports that Jen Shah's prison sentence has been reduced by 8 months and is set to now be released December the 19th, 2027, instead of August the 30th, 2028. So everyone was like, oh my gosh, does that mean she's coming back to the show? I don't think she's needed anymore. By the time she is released, they will probably be on their 8th season of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And I feel like, what would she be needed for at that point? I don't think anybody cares to see where she is, in my opinion, because it's just like I think her crimes are too deep for this show. Because it's one thing to be like defrauding the government like Teresa, and then you have Erica, who like, you can always give Erica like plausible deniability, like she didn't know what Tom was doing, even if you feel like she knows, but they already sentenced the man and they have yet to find evidence to prove that like she knew for sure that this man was stealing money from these victims. Whereas with Jen, we know for a fact Jen was stealing from elderly people, like, and some of those people got hurt. So it's just, and in a horrible way. So it's like, I don't think anybody would care to have her on the show anymore. So let's get into these tweets. So I don't know if this is really Angie K's account, because it's not verified. Lisa's account isn't verified, but Lisa has over 100 and I'll just round it up, 138K followers, whereas this account only has 7.4K followers, but I do think that this is Angie K's account. I think it is. But basically, Lisa posted this picture where she said, "Not me being inspirational." So Angie quote tweeted Queens of Bravo by saying this: "Yes, you also inspire me to use my own money to grow my business instead of taking out millions of dollars in loans from a gentleman in Park City and never pay them back. Hashtag RHOSLC." And then she said, "By the way, I borrowed these earrings from Electra. She got them on Amazon for $12.99. Glad you got them too." So then Lisa responded by saying, "Always original, never a copy, and never in knockoffs." So a fan wanted to know if this was Angie's original account, and they said, "Wait, is this really Mother speaking? Is this her account?" And Angie said, "Yes, it's me. Everything about me is real except my nose, my boobs, and my lips. Hashtag SLC." So here's my thing. Lisa and Meredith, the girls just need to stop playing with Angie when it comes to being online. Because Angie has great comebacks online. But in the show, I feel like Angie flatlines to me. And we'll talk about that when we talk about her arguing with Lisa. Because Lisa be getting them together in front, like in their faces. And they always stutter and be, but like online, Angie be getting the girl. She really does. But let's get into this review. All right, y'all. So I'm going to use the natural lighting until I can't use it anymore. So the episode opens up and it's a cute little like parody of Laverne and Shirley. We even see Whitney and Heather have on like monocolored sweaters like Laverne used to wear. And it made me think about my granny when we would go visit her and my poppy. Like she always watched Murder, She Wrote, Matlock, and In the Heat of the Night, and Laverne and Shirley would come on late at night on TV Land, and she was always obsessed with her westerns. And I just like, I don't know why she liked westerns because they were so boring to me. But when I saw that, it made me think of her. It was funny because as a kid, like I always thought Laverne and Shirley were like in their 30s or like honestly 40s, if we're being honest. But I think they were supposed to be like in their 20s. And I was just like, for real? Because those, people age differently. All right. But they do a cute little parody. So we see everybody waking up for the day. We see Bronwyn on the phone with her husband. And her husband is like, "So how did it go? Like, how did you enjoy the basketball game?" And she's like, "Nah, we didn't really enjoy the basketball game." She talks about how she confronted Lisa and Heather about their situation. And what I will say is, I still believe that Bronwyn wanted Lisa to lie for her. I think Bronwyn wanted Lisa to be like, "Oh, no, Bronwyn didn't mean it that way. And Bronwyn wasn't being like that." But the truth of the matter is, you were. And I think she was just shocked that Heather called her out on it. But that's just the game of Housewives. Because I'm like, Bronwyn, it was two different energies. Like when you were in the car with Lisa and you were in the car with Lisa and Heather, you were making fun of Whitney. You were making her the butt of the joke. You said it was trite, which means delayed, lacking, like it wasn't funny, it was stale. But then when you got in the car with Whitney, oh, it's iconic. And yeah, you weren't that wrong about Lisa. So it's like you do switch up when you get around different people. And I think she was just surprised that she got called out so soon, and especially by Heather. So we end up seeing Whitney go into Mary's room, and Mary is straightening out her hair with an electric hot comb. And Whitney was like, "Oh, what is that?" I was looking at Whitney like, "You don't know what an electric hot comb is?" Now, it would be one thing if it was the stove hot comb. Like, my mom still used that on my hair, okay? With this 4C hair, I need the heat to get it bone straight, okay? And so, like, I'm like, I would get if she didn't, like, know what a stove hot comb was. But I was like, you haven't seen an electric hot comb? They're always at Walmart and Target. And we're not going to act like y'all don't go to Walmart and Target. Or if you don't, Sally's has electric hot combs. Like, Whitney, what you mean you don't know what and I remember it was a trend. It was a trend on TikTok of my Caucasian sisters finding out what an electric hot comb was and being surprised at how straight it got their hair. So I'm like, I think you know what an electric hot comb is, sis. I feel like you do know what that is. You were just being stupid. But okay. So Mary's response was perfect. She was like, "It's what black girls use to straighten their hair." I said, "Thank you." Because, girl, what do you mean you don't know what an electric hot comb is? So we then see Lisa getting her makeup and hair done, and we see Meredith go into the room and sit down and be like, "Hey, girl, I need to tell you something." And Lisa's like, "What's up?" She said, "Girl, why did Angie and Whitney pull me to the side and pretty much try to get me to be against you?" And Whitney, no, Lisa's like, "What do you mean? Like what?" And they show a flashback where it was pretty much Angie and Whitney trying to coax Meredith into coming to their side. Angie being like, "Well, she's not been a good friend to me, and I definitely think she hasn't been a good friend to you. Like, maybe you might need to take a step back from Lisa." And then Whitney being like, "Yeah, she said some horrible things about you, Meredith. Like, I don't even think you should, like, really, like, you might want to reconsider your friendship with her." And so Lisa is like, "Are you serious? Like, I'm not going around telling people who they can't be friends with. And y'all are trying to get, like, come in between my friendship with Meredith." But Meredith in her confessional was like, "I got what they were trying to do. They trying to make me be on their team, but like me and Lisa are in a good spot. Like, I don't have no issues with Lisa, and me and Lisa agreed that like if there was anything going on between us, we would tell each other." And so Lisa is like, "You know what? I'm over them too." We then see Whitney go into Heather's room, and that's where Heather gives her these the monogram sweaters that we see in the opening of the episode where they do the Laverne and Shirley parody. It was cute. So Heather is just kind of like, she doesn't know if she should tell Whitney about what Meredith told her about, her stuff being on Alibaba and the whole like dispute on the internet and what Meredith what Meredith told her. But she's just like, I know I need to like tell her because I don't think Meredith is going to tell her. We then see Whitney go to Lisa because Whitney is making her rounds telling all the girls what they're doing for the day, because at first they didn't know what they were doing because Bronwyn's husband, what the, my bad, y'all. I unplugged my alarm clock and I thought I set it up correctly, but I guess not because it went off. Hopefully it doesn't go off again. So I think Whitney is going around to everybody's room to let them know what they're doing for the day, because when Bronwyn was on FaceTime with her husband, he asked her, "Hey, what y'all doing today?" And she was like, "I don't know. It's a surprise." So we see Whitney go to Lisa's room. Lisa's getting glam, and Whitney's like, "Oh, we're going to such and such." And Lisa's like, "I'm not coming. I got plans to do something else." And Whitney's like, "What do you mean you have plans to do something else?" And Lisa's like, "I got plans to do something else." And so Whitney's like, okay, like, what's the point of coming on a trip if you're not going to be around the group? And she's like, "Okay, I'll meet y'all up." And Lisa's like, "I'll meet y'all up for dinner when we go to the Harley Davidson Museum." So we then see Lisa ask Millie and Brittany to go with her to do like curling. And then we see the rest of the ladies pile onto the sprinter. So then they're all wondering why the other three aren't with them. And Bronwyn says, it's probably because of me. Like, I told Lisa she hasn't been a good friend to me. And then Angie's like, "Oh, I've done the same thing." And then they do the flashback of where Angie had the conversation with Lisa, where Lisa got up and walked away, where they couldn't come to some type of understanding. And so Angie is like, maybe that's why she doesn't want to be around. And then Angie talks about how, like, I have friendships that's like, that long-term friendship. She said, "Me and Lisa have known each other for 15 years. And like, I don't want to lose this friendship, but like, I'm not going to be kissing Lisa's like ass anymore. Like, I'm going to say and do what I want." So then Whitney was like, "The only other thing I could think of as to why she's not here is if Meredith told her about the conversation we had." And Meredith copped to it. Meredith said, "Yeah, I told her about the conversation the three of us had." And Meredith was like, "Because me and Lisa told each other, like, if someone says something that we think the others should know, then we should tell them. And what y'all were saying to me, I think she should know." So then all of a sudden, Whitney and Angie are like, "Oh, yeah, like, why would she want to be around y'all? Y'all are blatantly trying to ruin her other relationships because y'all got beef with her. Like, I would remove myself too." So we see the other girls get to the curling event. I guess that's where they practice for like the US Olympics. And then we see the other girls actually go to the Miller Lite factory, and they have like this cool, like, it looks like a caved area. And I think the guide was saying like when there wasn't refrigerators, this is where they kept the alcohol to keep it cool. And so everyone is trying to like convince Mary to drink beer because she's never drank beer. Beer is disgusting. My parents hate that I call it piss water because that's what it is. It tastes nasty. I've never drank piss, but I feel like that's what piss would taste like if I ever drank it. So I don't like beer. I think I could stomach a Corona, but it has to be poured into a margarita. And I don't think that's equivalent, We see the other girls curling. It looked like they were having a fun time. And we find out a little bit more about Millie, that she used to like figure skate. She was training for the Junior Olympics before she quit. And so it seems like Mary actually liked the alcohol, because we pan back to those ladies and she was like, oh, this kind of good. The clip of Mary when she was explaining about the champagne, when she was like, this is 2003. I remember this episode, 2003. A lot of people died. I said, Mary, how is that a correlation? I think she said it was like a heat wave. I said, girl. So it seems like the ladies at the Miller Lite place are having a good time. We then see the other three, they're done curling, and we see Brittany being like, she keeps getting text messages from Jared, and she's just like, she hasn't responded to them. She's also getting phone calls from him, but like her head is like so like in the clouds right now that she just doesn't really know what to do. We then see a flashback scene of the night before, where we finally see Angie showing Brittany the text messages from the brow girl. And Brittany was like, well, does it matter, you guys? I don't know if this will help him out. Is that like when he was talking to her, we were on a break. And then Lisa said, girl, F that. Like, that should be even more of a reason why you don't want to mess with him, because you immediately go on a break and he talking to somebody else and he's a D-list Osmond. Why are you still holding on to him? Lisa is really like, girl, give it up. Just give him up. Let him go. He is a nobody. Let him go. Brittany ends up showing them like a text message that Jared sent her. So mind you, Jared has been texting Brittany like back to back, because I guess maybe she told him about the brow girl and everything. And so one of the text messages he sent, it was like, wow, this is how you're going to end our friendship. And production enlarged it. It was a lot longer text message, but I didn't see it before they enlarged it. So I couldn't get the gist of what he was saying, other than like he was triggered by the events around him and that he felt like Brittany wasn't being genuine and honest with him. So Lisa points out, she's like, girl, he said y'all are ending the friendship, not the relationship, not being boyfriend and girlfriend, friendship. And Millie said, yeah, that says a lot. And then Lisa is like, girl, words mean things, sis. Like you need to be stronger than this. So we go back to the other girls who are doing the Miller Lite thing. Bronwyn shares with us that her husband Todd used to work in the company, and she was like, he's lived a whole life before he met me. Todd even brings up like, when I was a kid, TV was in black and white. And she's like, what you mean black and white? Because I think Bronwyn is like 36 or 37, so that means she would have been born in like the 80s, or like, wouldn't it be the 80s? Yeah, I think the 80s, right? Yeah, I think the 80s. Or like maybe the late 70s. So she's like, yo, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? And so I do think Bronwyn's feelings for her husband are genuine. She does seem like she does have a good time with him. And he's not like an old like fart, like he gives that he still has like a lot of life in him and he wants to enjoy life. So the rest of the ladies get up and go to the bar, because the tour guide explains to them like, do you guys want to hear ghost stories? Because we do have a few ghost stories about like the warehouse and about the company. And so we see them go to this bar, and we meet these two like workers, bartenders, and they're about to explain the stories. Mary dropping again about, her daddy and Jeffrey, and how when her dad was only living in Milwaukee for like a week, the day after a week, he saw the police and like the crime scene and everything. But then Mary gonna say in her confessional, oh, my daddy liked to lie, so I hope he wasn't lying about that. I said, what, Mary? Then why would you share it if you weren't sure your daddy was lying or not? So that was funny. So Heather and Whitney did not join them. And so Heather wants to tell Whitney about what Meredith told her about AliExpress. And so Heather's like, hey, so I talked to Meredith, and she let me know that there were some people, or like about that social media situation where they were saying that you were white labeling or outsourcing your material from Alibaba. And Whitney is like, girl, what? What are you talking about? And Heather's like, that's what, she told me, but I don't think she meant it in a way to like disparage you. I said, girl, I don't know about that. But she was just like, she was saying it more of in a concerning way. And then Whitney brings up that she saw the whole thing on social media, and she said her business partner felt like maybe it was a friend that was trying to disparage her business. And she was just like, why wouldn't Meredith just come to me? Like, why wouldn't, like, if we're supposed to be friends, why wouldn't she just come to me? And so Heather is like, I think she didn't want to come to you because y'all aren't in like a good place, and she didn't think that you would be receptive to it. And so Whitney is like, no, she should have came to me, because now it looks like Meredith is back up to her old tricks, and they bring up what happened last season with the whole like Angie being in the Greek mafia and that the FTC on Lisa. But what's weird to me and what was confusing me, and shouts out to my mutual who like explained it, is because I again thought everybody figured out, or we came to the conclusion that the person that was playing in the DMs and sending people information was Monica. But my mutual on Twitter was saying how no, I think they were accusing Meredith of getting DMs from multiple accounts and then bringing it to the group. And I said, okay, that makes a little bit more sense to me. Okay. But my thing about Whitney is, I just feel like, girl, the picture that they are showing is an exact picture. It's not like another, it's like, it would be totally different if it was like a picture and then someone had jewelry where they think it was like, oh, it looks similar to like that picture, but it's the exact picture. Like it's not an inverted picture. It's not superimposed. Like it's the exact same picture. So it does seem that you might get some of your jewelry from Alibaba or AliExpress. Like, it's not too far fetched to think that way. And so Whitney is pissed because Whitney is like, that's the thing about Meredith. She can't be happy for nobody. Like, she always, like, she likes to gatekeep. But I'm like, I can see where Whitney is coming from. But I also feel like, girl, okay, like it's not too far fetched. And then hearing about how like an ex business partner was trying to allege that Whitney was scamming. So it's like, it's not hard for people to think that you're scamming with your jewelry. So then Whitney was like, well, does Meredith go deep diving in the deep sea to get her caviar? I don't think so. But I was like, that's something different. Okay, jewelry, I mean, if you're saying that you make these designs yourself, then yeah, it is kind of messed up that they can find the same exact necklaces on another site for half the price. Even I've bought jewelry off of AliExpress, and it is as it says. It might take you like 2 months to get there, but it's the same thing. You know what I mean? So Whitney is pissed, and Heather is like, okay, well, please don't bring it up on the Sprinter. Let's just have a nice time. Like, don't cause any arguments on the Sprinter. To go to the Harley Davidson Museum, so we see all the girls piling to the Sprinter. I think somebody's told Whitney like, oh, this has been a fun trip, and then Whitney was like, oh yeah, it would have been fun until I found out, like, no, oh, I was having fun until I found out something of that effect. So I found out y'all was talking bad about my business, and everyone on the bus is like, girl, what? And then Heather's like, Jesus, here we go. And so Meredith was like, I wasn't talking bad about your business. I told Heather what I saw online, and I told her to tell you. And so Whitney was like, well, why didn't you contact me or offer your, like, that's what a friend would do. You would have contacted me and asked me like what was going on. And Meredith was like, girl, I don't care about you that much or what you got going on. I was just saying, like, I felt bad that I saw it online, and I brought it up to Heather to bring it up to you. And Whitney is like, well, if you really cared, then you would have offered like your help. And then Meredith is like, well, clearly you don't want my help because you started this business without like asking for pointers or for tips. So why would I just go out my way of helping you? And in one regard, I see where Whitney is coming from, where it's like, if you were really my friend, you would have came to me and been like, hey girl, I've seen what's online. This is what you need to do, or this is how you like make sure that what you're getting is more exclusive. But then on the other hand, I see where Meredith is coming from, where Meredith feels like Whitney has it out for her. She's doing jewelry like Meredith is doing. She's doing bath bombs. Like, she feels like the girl is messing with her on purpose. So she's like, why should I help you when I feel like you're trying to step on my toes? But I do think that comes from a sense of like, I would say like insecurity in like your business, because if what you got going on is good, then you don't really have to worry too much about your competitors. You could help somebody that's just getting started in the business. I think it only comes time where like you start to see somebody moving funny and shifty, where you start like pushing back from them. But so far it doesn't seem like Whitney has given you a reason to do that. So they're arguing. You got Mary in her confessional, and even sitting in the sprinter being like, no, 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 no. She's like, what's the point of this? This is stupid. I need Zen. Like, this is dumb. This is just dumb. Like, it's just dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. So they finally pull out to the Harley Davidson Museum, and Whitney was like, well, can we table this because I'm a Harley girl. I bleed Harley, and I want to be respectful. But I'm like, how can you start an argument before something you want people to be respectful to? Like, you just can't start an argument and then tell everyone like, well, we gonna taper it here, and then like, let's just be good, let's just be kind to each other. And so Bronwyn even makes a comment when they all get into the museum and everybody's like on their best behavior, that she was like, I feel like I'm in the upside down zone, because just like 5 minutes ago we was cussing each other out in the sprinter, and now we in the Harley Davidson Museum and everybody act like they got manners and got couth and decorum. I said, girl, welcome to Housewives. We see the girls go through the Harley Davidson Museum. We actually meet like the tour guide, I think is the grandson or like the great grandson of the actual people who created Harley Davidsons. I never knew that it was actually created by like three brothers and then their friend named Harley. I thought that was cool. And that they have over like 120 different like bike designs because the company is 120 years old. I thought that was cool too. I thought, okay, you learn something new every day. I didn't know that. So the museum actually allows them to walk around while the guy is giving like a tour, and then they actually set up this really nice like dinner for the ladies. And so while they're sitting down at the table, Whitney is kind of like irritated, but she was like, I wanted to gift all you guys my jewelry, and it's the necklace that she's been wearing. It looks like you know how when kids draw like the sun, it's normally like a half circle and then the lines coming out of it. That's what it reminds me of. And so she gives everybody one, but she kind of has like an attitude about it where she was like, I wanted to give you all of that, but like right now I don't know. But she ends up giving everybody the jewelry. Everyone says thank you. So while they're sitting down at the table, Whitney ends up bringing up the situation again with Meredith, talking about like, Meredith, like, I really don't appreciate you talking about my business. And Meredith is like, girl, you thinking too much about it. Like, I told Lisa, like, I told Heather to tell you, and it wasn't that deep because I don't think about you. Like, you're making this bigger than what it is. So then Lisa chimes in because Meredith is like, Lisa, were we really talking bad about her business like that? And Lisa was like, no. And so Lisa says, I feel like I'm kind of the fault of this because I'm the one that brought the conversation up, and it wasn't like a bashing conversation like that. And so while Lisa is trying to explain herself, Whitney is like, Lisa, you don't need to be in this. This is a situation between me and Meredith. And Lisa's like, well, no, I'm trying to help you like find clarity because you don't have your facts straight. And so then Whitney starts to mock Lisa's voice. And so Lisa starts to mock Whitney's voice. And then Angie jumps in being like, we don't need to mock each other. And I said, Angie, this is why you gonna keep getting in trouble, because if you keep clocking Lisa and not Whitney, because nobody was mocking anybody until Whitney started it off. And if I was Lisa, I would be looking at Angie sideways, because why all of a sudden you have this allegiance towards Whitney when all last season it was you and Lisa ride or dying through season 4, and now you get to this season and next thing you know, you acting different. Like, girl, what's up with that? So the conversation continues where I think Whitney ends up saying that y'all are gossiping about me and that's not right. You're going around. And then Lisa brings up, she's like, well, girl, you do that to everybody else. She also points out where she's like, you did it to me. So what are you talking about? And so then Whitney was like, I feel like I'm getting steamrolled. And I think Angie chimes in and says the same thing, because Angie was trying to talk to Lisa at the same time where she was like, Lisa, when nobody agrees with you, you have an issue. And Lisa's like looking at Angie like, I'm not speaking to you. So then Lisa ends up saying like, it's only y'all love to use that word steamrolling when it comes to me when I just present the facts to y'all, but it's not steamrolling. And I don't think it is either, because we just saw Whitney try to berate Meredith and you berated her on the bus. Like, Meredith could say that that's steamrolling. And when Lisa's doing it to Whitney and Angie, now all of a sudden it's steamrolling. No, I feel like I really do think that Lisa to them is like the head cheerleader in charge, but it also is looking like Angie really wants to be the new supreme of the group. Like, with the clapbacks online, with the way that fans are pumping up her head. And I'm just like, y'all, she's not as great as y'all think she is. Do I have any favorites on this cast? No. And I feel like that's why I can talk about this show unbiasedly, because Angie kicking that chair back was lame. And I feel like had anybody else on the cast that is not favorable, like if Lisa did it, or if Heather did it, or if Meredith did that, or even Whitney, we would all be like, girl, that was lame as hell to kick that chair down. Cause like it was just, she looked stupid. So they're arguing back and forth, and then what's it called? It starts to get heated between Lisa and Angie, because Angie's like, I've been a good friend to you and you haven't been a good friend to me. And then Lisa's like, no, you really haven't. So then Lisa starts going off and pointing. She was like, and her voice starts to, like, she starts to yell. And so Angie starts to yell. And Lisa's like, I told you, because I think Angie said, you have an issue with me and Whitney being friends. And Lisa's like, no, I don't. Whitney and what's one of them, Lisa, you do. Okay, Lisa, you do have an issue with them being friends. It's just, you got to call a thing a thing. You do have a problem with them being friends, and it's probably because you've been like Angie said, y'all been friends for like 15 years, and you didn't expect her to, be cool with Whitney after all the things that happened between you and Whitney. So Lisa's like, no, my issue is you went back and told her what I said, and I told you that's why our friendship changed. And I feel like that is where fans lose me with like this whole Angie and Lisa thing, because Angie is the one that seemed to have a problem with Lisa out of the blue. Because in my mind, why are you running back and telling Whitney conversations that you had with Lisa and not doing the same if you're trying to keep them on like level ground? Or like a normal person, you stay out of it and you don't run back and tell each other what they're saying. Because Lisa's whole thing is, I told you our friendship changed because you told Whitney what I said. And you never tell me what Whitney says about me. And Whitney is like, well, that's because she doesn't talk about me when she's with you, or like we don't talk about you when we're together. And Lisa's like, I call BS on that. So they're arguing back and forth, and Angie starts to do what Lisa did on the first episode, where she starts standing up. And I was surprised that Lisa didn't tell her to sit down the way Angie told her to sit down. But they start arguing, yelling across the table. And Angie's like, I've been a good friend to you. I've been a great friend to you. You haven't been a great friend to me. And so then Lisa's like, no, you haven't been a great friend to me. And then Angie's like, nobody at this table has ever said I haven't been a good friend to them. And then Lisa's like, okay, but you haven't been a good friend to me. So then while Angie is standing up, she kicks back the chair that like her chair, and everyone's kind of looking at her. Millie's looking at her, and then Millie actually gets up and pulls the chair back. And I said, was that supposed to be like a drop mic moment? Because you look lame. Like, I gave Angie a pass with the scroll because I thought it was actually funny, like as long as she didn't bring it up anymore. But I thought it was actually kind of funny. But this was lame. Like, why did you need to kick your chair back? It's not giving what you think it's supposed to give. So then Angie in her confessional was like, I've been a great friend to Lisa. I don't understand where this is coming from. But then Lisa said something being like, yeah, you've been a great friend, but you always trying to get off the phone with me. It's always like wait, Electra's calling. So then the table gets quiet, and she's like, you never like, you always using other things to get off the phone with me about, and it's always using your daughter. So then Angie stops like, oh, like you mentioned in my child, and everyone at the table gets quiet. Now, I don't think this was a low blow. I don't. Like, everyone thinking like, oh, Lisa went so low because she mentioned that she feels like you use your child to get off the phone with me. All of us do that. I'll be like, hey, I got some extra work to do. Or, hey, I always say, hey, my dad's calling. Or, hey, my mom is calling. Or, hey, my sister is calling. Like, that's not a low blow to point out that I feel like you use your child to get off the phone with me. But I think Lisa shouldn't have said it, because you can tell in her demeanor that like she knew once they left her mouth that I don't think it was a point of no return, but like now you kind of left the door open for people to say things about you and your kids, because people with kids always be like, don't mention the kids. But like, her just saying her daughter's name was not a low blow to me. I think what we see next episode, where Angie basically says, I don't allow my kids to stay up all night because I'm a good parent. I don't think that's low, but it is you attacking her parenting. When Angie was trying to conflate the two, where she was like, well, that's because I'm a good mother. And if I'm trying to be attentive to my daughter, then that's what I'm going to do. And like Lisa said, no one's attacking your parenting. Nobody was attacking her parenting, but y'all like to misconstrue and use your kids as pawns anyway when y'all are in arguments. Because just bringing up that I feel like you use your child to get off the phone with me is not a low blow. But I do think that Lisa was projecting. Like, I think Lisa truly feels that now that Angie is friends with Whitney, that she doesn't, like, she can't trust her anymore. So I think it's starting to make her, like, question, like, okay, it, like, when she get, like, is she really getting off the phone with me because she really needs to attend to her child, or is she getting off the phone with me to go talk to Whitney or somebody else to talk bad about me? And then it also doesn't help that we now have proof that you were trying to get Meredith on your side, Angie. So, like, she's not absolved from anything, in my opinion. So then Brittany was like, hey, we don't need to talk about people's kids. And so that's when Lisa is like, I wasn't talking about her kids. So then you got Mary sitting at the edge of the table like, you guys really care about each other. Like, that's why you're so passionate about it. I said, Mary, shut up. Shut up, Mary. So Angie feels like that was a low blow and she don't know if they can come back from that. Then here comes Brittany with another announcement where she lets it be known that she officially broke up with Aaron, like she had an epiphany. Heather says in her confessional, I heard this epiphany, and they do like 3 flashbacks where Whitney is telling Heather, Millie, and I think the other ladies, Millie and Lisa, when they were curling, that she had an epiphany that she might need to be by herself. She might need to be alone. But then Heather was like, well, did you tell Jared that? And she was like, no. And then even production is like, well, does Jared know y'all are broken up? And she's like, no. I said, girl, shut up. I was with Mary. Girl, in the next 5 minutes, y'all are going to be back together. And then we see the preview for next episode, and that's true. With Brittany, where everyone at the table basically called her a groupie hoe. Because they were all like, were you only with him, or like you only like him because he's an Osmond? And then they talked about Osmond Lane, where I guess that's where some of the Osmonds lived, and that's where Donnie and Marie Osmond used to live. But like Lisa was like, that was back in like the 80s and like 70s. She was like, I don't even think they live there now. So is that why you love him? And she's like, no, guys, I really like him. Like that's the person I really care about. So then Bronwyn pipes up and she was like, well, I saw you talking to Lisa about it, and you said that y'all were friends. And she was like, I don't see a friendship there. So I think Bronwyn was getting tired of everyone laughing in her face and basically calling her a groupie hoe. So she started to come back at Bronwyn. And I'm not going to lie, I was actually impressed with her rebuttal, because I didn't expect her to have it in her, where she was like, well, she was like, Bronwyn, you need to worry about your marriage and not my relationship. So everybody at the table like, what? Like, we go in there, and Braun was like, my marriage is good. My relationship is real good. And she was like, well, since you say my relationship, Brittany's like, since you said my relationship is messy and chaotic and all of this stuff, why don't you worry about yours and I'll worry about mine? And I said, well, and I can't get mad at Brittany, because in my mind, y'all were laughing at her at that table and calling her a groupie hoe, even though I think she a pick me and a bird. I mean, I don't want nobody laughing in my face, so I'm not going to fault nobody checking the people that was laughing in their face. And so Brittany goes on to say, it was like, are you attracted to you? Like, did you marry no, I think she said, did you marry your husband for money? So then everyone was like, oh. And she was like, no. She was like, so how did you meet your husband? And she's like, and then that's when Brahma tells a story about, we met at a bar. He made me laugh. I thought he was cool. I thought he was funny. So then Brittany was like, well, how big is y'all's age gap? And she was like 26 years. And she said, so, and then Brittany was like, so are you still attracted to him? And everyone's like, oh. And then Bronwyn is like, so you're asking me, am I still attracted to my husband? And she said, yeah. And so then Braun was like, yes, I'm attracted to him, like financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. He checks all the boxes. And I don't think she's lying. So then she was like, and then they got on the prenup talk, because she was like, oh, so you're trying to go for the thing about me being like a gold digger. And Brittany's like, well, no, like no, I'm just asking you questions. And she was like, no, Todd is not going to let me, somebody who like is lame and doesn't know all this stuff, take his money. And we have actual love. So he knows I'm not going to take him to the cleaner. So that's why we don't have a prenup. I said, girl, y'all don't have, he's stupid. He's stupid. Because even if it was real love, prenup. I don't care. You're not taking my money. Because you can say you love me and all of that stuff, but let's not act like people who say they so in love don't be doing the most heinous stuff to each other when it's time to get a divorce. So prenup, prenup, prenup. But hey, Brahma gonna get some money because she been with that man, it looked like for a good like 11 or 10 years. So like everyone's at the table talking, and so Whitney makes a comment where she's just like, she's like, I don't like, no, she says this in her confession. She was like, I don't like what Brittany's trying to do because I get that all the time that I'm a gold digger. Well, it kind of gives that, Whitney, because you was playing in that man's face when he lost his job after y'all did that creepy, like, sexual display on the show. So, and you look like you was trying to jump ship because he ain't had no money. So let's not do that. I don't know about Miss Bronwyn. So then Meredith was like, well, why don't we just let this go? Because it's getting a little too personal. And she brings up how her and Seth ended up getting like a prenuptial agreement or something like that when they were on the outs with each other. So she was like, all of this is real personal. And then they kind of just leave it there. We end up seeing them go to the drag show, but they were only there for like 10 seconds. And I'm just like, the whole purpose of them going to Milwaukee was to go to the drag show. So what was the point of this? I don't get it. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. And as always, remember to be bravely authentic and definitely hop down in the comments below. If you like what you heard, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.